This is a Defocus Media production. What's up, everyone? It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover.
And I'm Dr. Jennifer Lyerly, resident optometry nerd.
And welcome to Defocus Media, optometry's #1 podcast, where we discuss the hottest topics, latest technology, eyewear, practice management, and more. So sit back, relax, and defocus. Hello, and welcome, everyone. It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover. And today I am super excited because we're going to talk about the future. And knowing about the future is very important just simply because of how the world has changed. It's completely upside down. So when we think about the future, we have to think about behaviors, how people are going to react to the new norm. So today I'm super excited because we have some special guests on the show. One is a friend of the podcast, Chris King, which we all know is the education marketing manager over at Transitions Optical. And when we're talking about the future, we really need to bring someone that is a part of a team, a part of a company that is all about innovation. And we know innovation is what predicts and how we gauge the future. So I'm super excited to have Chris to come back and join us today. And then also we have another incredible guest, Mr. Doug Stevens from the Retail Prophet. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
Doing very well. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, before we jump into this amazing podcast today, Chris, I would love for you just to give us a brief background of who you are, and then I'd love for you to just tell us a little bit more about some of the exciting things that Transitions Optical has going moving forward.
Yeah, so I'm Chris King, marketing manager in education here at Transitions Optical, and I'm very excited to introduce to you the first ever virtual event of its kind for all eye care professionals from around the world called Transitions The Pulse. So on February 9th, we're going to bring together eye care professionals from over 42 countries all together to watch live keynotes by expert speakers and to get an outlook on the latest innovations and solutions. We're going to connect together and we're going to feel the love for eye care.
Oh, wow, man. This is super spectacular, man. I love whenever we get an exclusive, and I'm so excited that I'm getting an exclusive from one of my favorite companies, Transitions. Everyone out there that knows me and anyone in the eye care industry knows that I am a big fan, a big prescriber of Transitions. So anything that you guys put your fingers on or your mind to, I am all about it. With this amazing event that you guys are going to have, let's just dive a little bit more into it. If you don't mind just sharing this, what we can really expect out of this event that you guys are going to have, Chris.
Yeah, primarily it's about coming together with our fellow eye care professionals to learn from experts about winning formulas for professional development, but also about sharing valuable insights from consumer and retail trends from all over the world. So it's that gathering together to build both our collective strength and our intelligence to make our businesses thrive and prosper in 2021. And that's why I'm also very excited to be joined here today by our guest and one of our keynotes for this event, Doug Stevens. And so, Doug, I'll turn it over to you in a minute. I'm sure you've got lots of questions, Dr. Glover, there, but just a preference on Doug Stevens. He is one of the world's foremost retail industry futurists. So his intellectual work and thinking has influenced many different international retailers, agencies, brands, including Walmart, Google, L'Oreal, BMW. It's really impressive. And so getting to hear from you, have you here, just talking about this event with you and also at the event, it's very exciting, Doug.
Thanks very much, Chris. Yeah, it's great to be part of it.
Yeah, this is super exciting because as an eye care professional, as an optometrist, we are blessed to be in a profession where there's the medical piece, but then there's also a retail piece. And it's in regards to the medical piece, as optometrists, we understand that. We know exactly what we need to do to impact our patients and allow them to live their best lives. There's no doubt about that. But when it comes to the retail piece, we don't have that magic ball where we can sit down and say, what's going to happen in the future? How is the consumer behavior going to be 5-10 months away from now? So for me, this is super exciting to have Doug Stevens on the show today to really give us some insight in regards to what the future holds. Doug, before we jump into picking your brain and learning more and becoming better when it comes to that retail piece in the eye care industry, I would love for you just to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, because you have an incredible background and the world needs to know a little bit more, if you don't mind, before we get started here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Glover. So Retail Profit was born in 2009 out of another crisis, which I think we all may still remember, and some of us may still bear the scars of, the financial crisis. So in 2009, I had left corporate life and decided to venture out on my own. And it seemed to me, after about 20 years in the retail industry as an executive, that it was a really short-sighted industry. It was very much quarter to quarter, earnings report to earnings report. And that left the industry as a whole fundamentally unprepared to deal with some of these longer-term threats that were on the horizon in 2009, namely a changing consumer, vastly changing technology, a disrupted media landscape, and of course, generational change that was happening at the same time. And so I decided at that point that the industry needed a perspective that looked out on a longer horizon, 5 to 10 year horizon, and worked to put together a contextual picture of how all of those changing aspects of society were ultimately going to change the retail industry. Since then, I've written 3 books on the future of retail. One of which is an international bestseller, Reengineering Retail. And I just finished work on a 3rd book that's going to be published in May of 2021, having to do with the pandemic and its impact on the retail industry.
Wow. I'm speechless. I mean, Chris, are you feeling me? I mean, like this, we don't get to have a conversation with someone like this every single day, man.
I'm telling you, I'm excited.
Well, I like the combination of Doug Stevens, the company, the Retail Profit, and Transitions, a leader in innovation when it comes to technology and eye care. I think the combination of the two can really shake up the industry and make a change and make eye care professionals' lives so much easier. Doug, I would really like to dive in a little bit more of what you're going to touch on during this event, because you are a keynote speaker. And I would love to just give an overview of what's expected.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really going to be looking at how that landscape is changing. And, while the pandemic has been disastrous for so many in the retail industry, and we see the fallout happening every day and week, it's also been like a 10-month or 11-month steroid drip for companies like Amazon, Alibaba, JD.com, and even Walmart, I would include in that group. And so these companies are becoming infinitely larger through the crisis. And that's a bit of a blessing, and it's also a bit of a curse. On the one hand, of course, who wouldn't want to be the beneficiary of the kind of growth that these companies have seen through the pandemic? But on the other hand, it raises the bar for them coming out of the pandemic. And it's going to mean that they are going to have to now keep up this torrid pace of growth that they've established in order to keep their shareholders happy. And my belief is that that is going to lead them to higher nutrition food sources. I mean, there's no question that Amazon could continue to make billions of dollars just selling us more running shoes and grocery items and subscriptions. But I believe that they are poising themselves now to enter other categories, namely really lucrative categories like healthcare, banking, insurance, education, transportation. And just to give you a flavor for sort of how they're assembling the artillery at the borders here, over the last 3 years, Amazon has made nine concerted acquisitions or moves into the healthcare space. And this culminated a couple of weeks ago with their last move, which was to open an online pharmacy. And just on the announcement that they were opening an online pharmacy, the stock value of CVS and Walgreens tanked by 10%. Amazon has essentially set themselves up now to penetrate that category. And as they do, as Amazon is wont to do, when they enter a category, they are incredibly disruptive. They usually come in with technology. They come in with design and systems thinking to solve a lot of the problems in that category, and they build very, very efficient mechanisms. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to look at the impact potentially on the optometric market. But more importantly, we're going to look at what optometrists can do to push back.
Wow. The one thing I could tell you as an eye care professional, as an optometrist, one thing that I think really hurts our profession and plagues us is really that we're not really receptive to innovation, to technology. And when you have companies like Amazon that is all about innovation and, pushing the envelope and going forward and forward thinking, that can really cause a problem. I would love to get your insight in regards to, what kind of communication do you have with companies or healthcare facilities or just anyone in general in regards to just changing that mindset? Because before we can even jump into considering what the future is going to hold, we have to be able to change that mindset, because if that mindset is not shifted, then we're going to always be in the same place. So what type of conversation and dialogue do you typically have with these executives or these companies when you're talking about the future of retail?
Yeah, I think in some cases, people just simply aren't even aware of the level of innovation prowess at Amazon. And I think that's part of the problem. Now, I'll also preface it by saying that virtually every category that I have worked with the possible exception of the tech sector, virtually every category of service or merchandise says the same thing. They say, you know what, we're a category that is reticent to change. We're slow to innovate. We don't like disrupting ourselves. Well, guess what? You're not alone. I mean, that's just common. That's just being human, right? None of us like to change. None of us certainly like to have our worlds upended or disrupted. But it's an imperative now. Whether we like it or not, we have to push ourselves out of the comfort zone. And I'll tell you why. I was doing a presentation at one point on Amazon, and I came across a quarterly report of theirs. And this was going back a number of years. But in that report, they mentioned the innovative initiatives that the company had undertaken in that quarter. And if I recall correctly, there were 26 major initiatives. And I'm not talking about just kind of rearranging the office furniture or, changing the drapes. I'm talking about new channels, new products, new technologies, completely new platforms for consumers, new entertainment, new media. I mean, these 26 projects in one quarter would represent 5 to 10 years of innovation at any other company. And so when executives are able to actually see that list, that daunting list of things that Amazon is working on, and when they know that, for example, Amazon will set 5,000 engineers on a single problem, where most companies don't have 5 engineers, working in their data departments. Amazon can turn 5,000 on a single issue. The penny really drops for CEOs, and they recognize that it's a binary choice now. We either innovate or we go away.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense. And one thing that I really like that you expressed was education. I do think we lack education in regards to what's out there. We're really concerned about, we're in the eye care industry, but we're not concerned about what's going on outside of our little box. And when we think that way, we really lose focus or insight in regards to how the consumers, how our patients really think. I'm a big fan of innovation. So, the things that Amazon and all these disruptors are doing out there, I'm perfectly okay with it. I'm a millennial. I'm growing up in this stuff. So I understand it and I get it. I know that's going to change the way that we do business in the future. With me, I personally think when you think about some of these big companies, it's all about, creating multiple touch points, but also shortening the cycle in regards to purchasing things. So, when it comes to eye care, a lot of times you'll have patients that come in once a year, and that's not enough because they're getting so much exposure to outside forces that they're going to change the way that they think in their mindset. And as a result of that, us as eye care professionals, we lose that loyalty from our patients because someone has already had contact with them. I would love for you to maybe just touch on, that buying cycle or the, how much touch points people actually have and the importance of that, because I feel like if we just stick to that one time someone comes in for a routine eye exam, when they buy glasses and buy contacts and we see them back in a year, I feel like those days are over. So how important is it really to have more touch points throughout the year, like some of these companies like Amazon and other major companies that are out there that's really disrupting every industry known to mankind?
I think that's an excellent point because when you think about, first of all, when you think about just today, let's forget about what Amazon plans on doing. Just today, we know that about 70% of the time when it occurs to a consumer that they need a particular product, the first place they're going now is Amazon. They're bypassing Google. They're bypassing every other retailer. They're bypassing specialists that may sell that product. They're going directly to Amazon to see if they have it. And in a growing number of cases, of course, Amazon does, because it's an ever-expanding universe of product. And Amazon has fundamentally, from its genesis, really approached every market by doing one particular thing. They look at a given market, they determine what the deepest, darkest, wickedest problem is within that market, and then they use a combination of technology and design thinking to make the problem go away. And the first example, of course, is just the way they gave consumers confidence to shop online in the first place. And we're all probably old enough to remember the time when online shopping was like the Wild West. You didn't know who to trust. You didn't know where to go to find things. Websites were horrible. They were laid out terribly. Everybody was fearful about entering their credit card information. Amazon did away with all of that. They brought order, they brought sensibility to the web, and they gave us confidence as consumers. And they do that systematically across categories. And I have every confidence that they will do the same in banking and education and insurance and all of these various categories. So number one is realizing that this is virtually inevitable. Once Amazon sets its sights on a category, it's very hard to shake it off of that. But the other point you mentioned is really important. Because we are going to Amazon so frequently as consumers, we create immediate audience for whatever they are selling. So if Amazon decides to get into healthcare, every single time we go to search for a product on Amazon, we're going to be presented with that offering from Amazon as they try and draw us into that healthcare ecosystem. So for eye care professionals, you're absolutely right. It's important to set up a system whereby you are seeing patients more often and able to reinforce that connection. But also it's important for eyewear specialists to now realize that they are in the content business. You're putting together a podcast that will reach the industry, but there's no reason that eye care professionals can't be putting together really informative, entertaining content for their customers, for their patients, that keep them engaged between visits, give them a reason to reach out to somebody and say, you may not know this about the way your eyes work, but here's a really interesting little video for you to watch, or here's an interesting article on how you can preserve your vision as you age, or whatever the case may be. We are all in the content business now, and it's the only way that you can truly fight back against Amazon is by telling a deeper story about what you do.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. I'm a firm believer that we live in a world now where it's all about content and data. And that's one thing that Transitions has done an incredible job with. And although I'm a firm believer that it's just little old me here in the United States, what I would like to know, because, when we were talking about the Pulse, this major event, this is a global deal. And I really would like to know what the global audience will really take away from your presentation that you have at the Pulse event.
So, I think the overall message is this. There are these companies now that I look at as being apex predators. The Amazons and the Alibabas of the world, if we're talking about the market in China, for example. These are companies that are rising now to a scale where they will truly have no natural enemies other than themselves, and hence the term apex predators. But that doesn't mean that others in the market can't thrive. What it means, however, is that everyone has to go back and revisit their fundamental positioning and the added value that they bring to the equation over and above the product itself. And I'll give you an example. If you go back to the beginning of modern history, and you look at the retail market, for example, the retail that we see around us today is really a product of the Industrial Revolution. As cities scaled up, as markets became larger, the makers of things needed retailers to distribute those products in order to reach these massively growing markets. And so retailers for centuries were able to get by on the idea that they offered access to products. So if I was a consumer in a particular market where no one sold Hoover vacuum cleaners, And lo and behold, somebody opened a Hoover store. Well, great. Now I can get that product, and that retailer was likely to be successful. But now we live in a world where virtually anything I want can land on my doorstep tomorrow without me ever having to go to a store. So the question retailers are asking themselves now, or should be if they're not, is what added value do I actually overlay onto the product? What is it? Is it experiential value? Is it entertainment? Is it expertise? What's the added value? And I think the same is true of healthcare professionals. As we move forward into this world where Amazon could be your healthcare provider, the question on the minds of healthcare providers is, what added value do we bring that maybe consumers aren't aware of? And how can we celebrate that? How can we communicate that? And how can we bolster our position in the market vis-a-vis Amazon or Alibaba by talking more about that? But not by advertising or beating people to death with it, but by creating and sharing great content that consumers value.
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, I'm big into branding, and when you look at retail, branding is a major thing. But I think a lot of times what I see, especially with my fellow eye care professional colleagues out there, is that we focus so much on the external branding piece, but we don't look at the internal branding piece. We don't look at the why the company is doing it, why you are doing it. We don't look at the vision, the mission, the core values of the company. We don't really put too much emphasis on that. And how can you expect for your team members in your office to be able to really educate the patients that come in if you don't understand the why of the company? I think that's a huge piece that's missing. And I think we, as eye care professionals, we put too much focus on just that external piece. Like my logo has to look this way. I have to be on this social media platform. But if you don't understand the whole purpose of what you're doing in your brand, it's never going to manifest to something that's going to resonate with the patient, because patients are smart. They're savvy. They have access to a cell phone. And if you have a cell phone, which majority of people in the world do, they can look up online and figure out who they want to see at a touch of a button. And they can research that physician and see what they're all about. I have tons of patients that come in and they've researched me before they even walk into my practice, and they understand my why. Even a company that I work for that I see patients with, I made sure my why pairs with their why. And that's why every day when I go in to see patients, I am known as your favorite optometrist, just simply because of that branding and understanding that we share the same core values. So I'm able to really give the ultimate patient care to my patients. So I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is something that is huge. I know, Chris, you guys really look at branding and take it seriously over at Transitions. I mean, is that kind of your mindset as well, Chris and Doug? I mean, what are you guys thinking when it comes to just really understanding your purpose and being able to educate team members about that so it can be more effective with the external branding piece?
Yeah, at Transitions, I've been with Transitions 7 years now, and the core strength that we have is that culture, and it's that community that we've built around that why. And it's not just, people drawing a paycheck, from Transitions like myself, but it's also, Dr. Glover. It's every eye care professional we've had a chance to, bring into that community. So, for me, absolutely, it's at the core, but let's not lose what we're really talking about here with brand, and it's that deeper story, Doug, as you were saying as well. So yeah, awesome.
And I think that we have typically, and this is not just true of health professionals, I think it's true of business people in general. We have typically operated against a historical construct whereby we believe that if we are able to advertise and promote ourselves in the right places, eventually we will bring consumers down that purchase funnel to our store, to our clinic, to our law office, whatever business you're in. But what's happened, however, is that the funnel has actually flipped now. And to be honest, unless you've got the deep pockets of a Walmart or a Target, there is no way that you can advertise yourself into relevance for consumers. Just advertising alone is not going to be enough. So what I've often said is that, whereas you used to go out and buy media to draw people to your store, it's reversed now. Your store or your clinic, that is your most powerful form of media. And if you really want to galvanize a long-standing relationship with a customer, you have to look at the time they spend in your clinic as being an advertisement. That's an advertisement for your brand, your values, your professionalism, your service ethic. All of that is right there in those moments that they spend with you in the clinic. And if all of that is executed brilliantly, and if they walk out the door and actually say, man, that was unlike any eye appointment I've ever had. That was awesome. Now you've got them. And there's really nothing that Amazon can do to break up that relationship. But the problem is we don't walk out of many eye exams with that sort of feeling. Why? Because industries become undifferentiated. Competitors become more the same. We all attend the same industry conferences. We read the same trade magazines. We hire the same consultants to come in and help us with our businesses. So by osmosis, we all eventually start delivering the same mediocre experience. And we have to break out of that. And again, think of the clinic as being your strongest form of advertising.
Yeah. I mean, as eye care professionals, we're walking billboards, whether it's in the practice or outside of the practice. And we have to realize that our team members are reflections of us. So it's very important for us just to understand and know our internal branding piece in order to really have an effective external branding piece. I mean, that to me, that just makes sense. When it comes to just retail in general, I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts in regards to some disruptive technology that's out there? I mean, there's a lot in the eye care industry where we're seeing online refractions and things of that nature. I mean, do you have any background or knowledge in regards to that? And even if you don't, what's your experience in regards to seeing that and then also experiencing a routine eye exam from your local optometrist? I mean, I would love to dive a little more into that.
Well, I mean, the advent of telemedicine alone, and just the degree to which telemedicine has become commonplace now, I think is ultimately going to lead to some substantial long-term change in the industry already. But live streaming, for example, has been just a massive breakthrough in live streaming in the retail industry. In fact, more so in Asia. When the pandemic locked down businesses in Asia, many of them just immediately sort of flipped a switch and went to live streaming. One brand of department stores actually in China was managing to get by just on live stream sales out of closed stores, just by employing their sales associates as live streamers. So I think that what we've seen is that consumers are becoming more conditioned to online alternatives, whether that's communication, as we are doing right now, whether it's work, whether it's education, whether it's medicine. They are becoming more attuned to the idea that more of the goods and services that they're going to receive are going to be online. So that really opens the door in the medical community to begin to employ some of these technologies. And I think what we have to start accepting is that if we can imagine something happening, that it very likely will. If we can close our eyes and imagine a person going through the entire eye exam online with their doctor, then it probably will happen, because we have the means to build today virtually anything we want. It's really limited only by our imaginations.
Yeah, and I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you got it, man. That's all I say. You got the juice, man. I'm sold. I mean, everything that you're saying just is really resonating with me, and I'm getting super excited. I don't know about you, Chris, because I love innovation. I love retail. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I jumped into the eye care industry, because we have that medical piece and the retail piece. And I think once you have a great understanding of that, it can really take your practice to the next level. But, one main thing that I am taking away from this is really just changing your behavior. I actually had a patient come in the other day where he worked for Chick-fil-A. And I was like, man, Chick-fil-A's line is crazy, man. But you guys are able to pump people out. And this guy told me straight up, he said, we are doing numbers that you wouldn't even believe. We break our sales records all the time, even when we have our facilities open to people to come in. And he even told me that one area one location that's in Raleigh-Durham, where I'm at, North Carolina. He said that they actually made the actual dining room area smaller, and they made a bigger kitchen because they know that the behavior of the consumer is going to change. People aren't going to want to go inside of a restaurant anymore simply because they know how quickly they can get their food. They don't want to have to deal with waiting in lines. They have the comfort of their car, and they know that people are doing things like Uber Eats or DoorDash and things of that nature as well. So they know they're not going to have that foot traffic. So they're concentrating on how they generate money, picking more food. And I think we really need to just have that mindset when it comes to eye care as well. Because I'll be upfront with us as optometrists, I feel like a lot of times we're just gatherers of information. And if we can actually have technology gather more of that information and we can spend more time like this face to face with the patient, I feel like it's going to have a bigger impact in regards to healthcare and make them happier as well. You're the man when it comes to stuff. And I know you have a book coming out soon, and I'm pretty sure you're going to have all the answers for every industry out there in regards to what to do post-COVID-19. I would love for you maybe just to give us an overview or glimpse into what that book is all about in the title as well, if you don't mind, Doug.
Yeah, sure thing. So the book is called Resurrecting Retail: The Future of Business in a Post-Pandemic World. And I'll just sort of jump to the payoff of the book. We've talked a lot about the conditions. We've talked a lot about the landscape. And in the book, I paint a far more vivid and researched picture of what that landscape's likely to look like. The question is, what do we do about it? And so what I've proposed in the book is that, to your point earlier, every business needs to revisit its fundamental purpose. But by purpose, I don't mean your mission or your values or your vision. I mean, what is your purpose? Like, if you are the answer to a consumer's question, what is the question? What is the question that you are the definitive answer to in your category? And to be very honest, and we ask this of businesses all the time, most businesses don't quite understand. They don't know. They're not sure what they are the ultimate answer to. So you have to determine what that is. And what I've done in the book is I've created 10 what I call archetypal retail business models that I believe are going to be not only resilient through the pandemic, but are going to thrive in the post-pandemic landscape in the shadows of these giants like Amazon. And I lay out what those business archetypes are and the fundamental aspects of those business models. And my hope is that businesses can quickly use this as a bit of a compass heading, to determine, like, who are we really and how are we going to compete and what extraordinary value can we provide to consumers and how can we build that media landscape or that media ecosystem to keep them engaged with us. That's really the payoff for the book.
Wow. I'm looking forward to it. Can I pre-order today? Because I need that, man.
You can.
Well, I definitely will be getting my copy, that's for sure. Chris, man, I'm super excited about the Pulse. I know the event goes down on February 9th. If you don't mind just really telling us, how do we register? And before we even talk about registration, if you don't mind just giving us or painting a picture of the layout of this event, because it's going to be major and it's really going to impact our lives in a positive way. So if you can kind of paint the picture of the event and just talk a little bit more about registration.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're going to kick off at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on February 9th, and we're going to rebroadcast again at 6 p.m. Eastern. So trying to find times that's suitable for everyone, because we know everybody's busy right now, but this really is a can't miss. I mean, you heard from Doug. Doug is going to deliver a fantastic keynote. Many insightful things are going to be shared. We're going to also hear from other experts in protection, style, consumer experience. So it's really going to be fantastic from just an education and a knowledge standpoint. But we're also going to look at the latest technology from Transitions extractive polarized lenses. So I know many people are excited about that. I know I am.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and also we're going to have different breakout sessions too. So it wouldn't be a virtual event in optometry if it wasn't like free ABO credits. So we'll have different ABO credits for everyone and your different teams. So we'll have lots of different things for people to choose from. It really is going to be an event like no other, and I really want to encourage people not to miss it. When it comes to registration and how to register, the great news is that everyone is invited. Everyone, it's the Pulse, the Transitions, the Pulse is open to everyone. It's free, and registration is open at transitionspulse.com. And that's an open invitation to your teams. So optometrists, opticians, retailers, manufacturers, anyone to attend, gather together in preparation for a stronger 2021. So I really hope to see everyone there.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And colleagues, please accept innovation. Please accept that our consumers, our patients, our customers, everyone is changing their behavior in regards to how they consume information and how they consume healthcare. Do not be a dinosaur. There is a big company out there by the name of Amazon, and we could take them on. So don't be scared. We have partners like Transitions Optical. We have leaders like Doug Stevens that can really help change our mindset and really make us competitive with these big names that are out there. And also accept innovation. I mean, this is something that's going to take that patient experience to the next level. So don't run away from it. Please accept it. Doug Stevens, I would love for you, man, just to share your information for those that are listening and they want to learn more about you, your movement, your book. Where can they get it? Social media, all that jazz. Please share that information, because I'm pretty sure you're going to get a big following from the eye care industry, because you definitely know what you're talking about, my man.
Well, thank you for that. So if anyone is interested, they can go to retailprophet.com. That's retail, PROPHET.com. That's the mothership. All the socials are there, all the links to articles, podcasts, everything that they might be interested in, all in one place.
Thank you so much, Doug Stevens and Chris King, for hanging out with me today. I learned so much, and I'm looking forward to Transitions, the Pulse event. It's going down. I know it's going to be quite spectacular. Great energy, great speakers, great content. It's going to be an amazing event. Make sure you guys sign up. You can hit up the website, transitionsthepulse.com. It's going down on February 9th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will rebroadcast at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you guys hit up the website. That's the transitionsthepulse.com. It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you there. All right, colleagues, and it's a wrap. Thank you dearly for hanging out with the Defocus Media team. We hope truly something resonated with you. And if it did, be sure to give us 5 stars. And make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you named it. And our handle is at Defocus Media on all platforms. And until next time, be sure to keep it 2020. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.